Welcome back to No Stress Job Scheduling. I'm Dahl, Principal Software Engineer at Help Systems, and today we're going to be talking about job queues and about how they're more than just first in, first out. So what is a job queue in the context of an enterprise job scheduler? A job queue is a place where the scheduler or the event monitor is going to put a job that's ready to run. The scheduler said, hey, it's 3 o'clock, it's time for this job to run. It's going to put it there until it's actually time for it to execute. And there are a lot of good reasons why there might be a delay between the scheduler deciding that something needs to run and it actually running. The second thing it's going to provide is an ordered list of things that need to run in a particular order, and that's generally based on priority, but we'll talk a little bit more about that down here. And the third reason is to give those users a chance to control what's on that queue, maybe take things off of it, maybe change a priority before things run. So why does a job scheduler need a job queue anyway? First thing is priority. Users have an idea of what's more important and what's less important when it comes to their jobs, and they want to ensure that their tool is going to run things in the proper order, considering priority first over submitted time second. So you don't want your priority queues to be a pure first in, first out kind of deal. You want them to think more about what's more important to the user, okay? The second thing is limits. One of the most important things a job queue will do for a user is limit the amount of items that are executing at a given time. And there's a couple of different reasons for that, and we'll talk about those down here. And the third reason, and this is a really good reason, sometimes your agents are down. Sometimes they're down for maintenance. Sometimes the network is down. And you don't want those jobs to just go off into nowhere or to be canceled because of things that are just temporary, like say like a temporary network glitch. When that comes back up, you would like them to be somewhere and ready to run. Okay, third, what kind of features should a job queue have? Well, first is a hold and release type feature. It's very nice to be able to say, okay, this agent is going to have to go down for a half hour while we update the software on it. So I'm going to go to my job scheduler and I'm going to tell it to hold the agent queue, don't execute any more jobs, and then I'll release it later when I've rebooted the system and applied all the patches to it. The next thing is giving the user the ability to alter the priority of a job. So if they've got 10 jobs sitting out on the queue and they want to raise job B to the highest priority because it needs to finish by 2 o'clock, then they have the ability to go into that queue and catch it before it actually starts executing, so they can jump it ahead of the other jobs. Limits, we talked about that before. Limit the number of jobs running. There's a lot of good reasons to do this. One is your agent really doesn't have enough processing power to run all the jobs that you might be submitting at once. Another good reason, right here, semaphores or mutexes. Sometimes your processes have things that are distinctly designed to only be run one at a time. Like say, you may have like a database that can really only handle, let's say, 10 connections at a time. You would want to set up a queue that had exactly 10 jobs that would be allowed to run at any given time, and then run all your database jobs through that queue. In that way, you can guarantee that you won't overuse the number of connections that the database allows. Down here, we've got priority gating. And this is an important one from the standpoint of during the day, I may want to have times where there are a lot of jobs being submitted by end users. And those end user jobs maybe aren't the highest priority. In fact, I don't even want them to run. I want them to sit behind a gate and wait until a particular time later in the day when that gate is going to be lifted to allow those lower priority jobs to run, say like after 5 o'clock. And then that kind of rolls into the last piece here. You should be able to schedule changes to your job queue. So say at 8 o'clock in the morning, you start holding all the jobs that are at 50 priority or lower. And all the higher priority jobs are still going to jump the gate and run, right? But at 5 o'clock, you want to remove that limitation and have all of your jobs run. That's kind of a standard model for risky end user type jobs that might put stress on a system that you want to hold back until later. Well, that's it for today. So if you're going to remember anything about job queues, it's kind of this center section is really the important part. Job queues are going to give you the ability to run things in the proper priorities. They're going to allow you as the user to set the limits that you need for your environment. And when things are down, job queues will just keep things running, keep them there until it's time for, until those resources come back and you can actually execute. So take a look at Skybot version 3.9 for the users that are looking at Skybot, because guess what? We've got a lot of these features in there. We're quite happy with the release. It turned out really well. That's it, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.